I am currently a 31-year-old business owner, and I've been dividend investing for around 6 or 7 years now, full time, to a point to where I've basically been spending every single dollar from my active income sources and buying dividend paying stocks or ETFs. Now in this video, I'm going to share my journey of how I got to this place so far, and towards the end of the video, I'm going to show you two of my largest dividend growth portfolios that are currently valued upwards of $700,000 just between these two portfolios. But just to take a quick step back, like I said, I've been investing now for around 6 or 7 years. I didn't grow up with much money or opportunities personally, and I really had no straightforward road to become rich or wealthy whatsoever. So early on, I took things into my own hands. Now, what I mean by this is from an early age, I did my best at trying to start small businesses as a kid, such as doing the normal things like selling candy bars in school to friends, going door to door and trying to sell items, and even renting out a space at a local flea market when I was around 12 or 13 years old, selling wholesale goods that I was importing from China. Now, I always knew that somehow, some way, I was destined to figure out a way to make entrepreneurship work at some point as long as I kept trying. But by the time I was around 18 years old and nothing taken off up until this point, still being completely flat broke, and now having to choose to leave high school and maybe enter college, of course with the help of student loans, I figured I would enter a local college and maybe go ahead and take more of the traditional routes instead of the entrepreneurial route like I had dreamed of. Now, during the first few years of college, I found myself constantly on marketing blogs whilst I was working a part-time job to try my best to stay afloat. I also noticed myself quickly paying no attention in classes and studying things like internet marketing online pretty much from the minute I woke up until the minute I went to sleep at night. Now fast forward a little while and I started to build out a small quote-unquote marketing agency, if you would even be kind enough to call it that. And this quote-unquote marketing agency was basically a group of different social media pages that I had built in different niches and started even selling advertising space. Now by the time my sophomore year of college came around, I was earning sometimes around $10,000 a month from a college dorm room, and at this time I sort of realized that it was either now or never to either leave college and go for the entrepreneurial thing one more time, or to stay in college and stick with the traditional routes. So long story short, over the next 5 to 6 years from when I dropped out of college, I devoted absolutely everything into my business and was able to generate 8 figures in sales all on my own throughout the years. So now fast forward even a little bit further, after some amazing business success, which I was of course very thankful for, I found myself facing my next challenge, if you will at least. I know it had more money to set aside than I honestly ever had dreamed of, coming from a sort of low income situation, and I knew that at this point I had to figure out a way to use this money to hopefully make more money in the future. Now it was not long until I came across dividend investing and fell in love with it basically right from the start. Investing into household names or even ETFs, becoming a tiny owner of these companies or funds, and earning a small dividend on a quarterly or even monthly basis sounded so cool to me right from the start. So fast forward even more, and that brings us right where we are today. I'm currently 31 years old and around 7 years into this dividend investing journey that I've been taking it very, very serious and studying everything I can when it comes to dividend investing pretty much from the start. And at this point, I have over 7 figures invested, with an annual dividend amount climbing towards $100,000 in dividends paid per year. I'm not currently at $100,000 yet across all my portfolios combined, but I'm hopefully going to be there in the next 1 to 3 years. So now that we heard a little bit about my journey and how I was able to amass quite a sizable dividend growth portfolio at a relative young age, now I know there's some people that are younger than me that have way bigger portfolios, and of course there's some older investors that have less. But now that we went over my story, I want to share some of my largest positions in a few of my portfolios, just in case, of course, anyone is interested. So this right here is one of my larger dividend growth portfolios. It's currently valued at around $500,000, and I do have different portfolios on different brokerages just because of the insurance cap, of course. But in this portfolio, I have things like 1,000 shares of Apple, which I bought quite a while ago. I have 1,000 shares of Verizon, 923 shares of Realty income in this portfolio. I have 1,090 shares of Devo. I got 671 shares of JEPI, 503 shares of BST. I got 1,661 shares of BDJ, 571 shares of EPD. I got 820 shares of QYLD, 197 shares of SCHD, 303 shares of JEPI, 300 shares of OHI, 100 shares of JP Morgan, 185 shares of XYLD, 442 shares of MPW, 123 shares of Altria, 215 shares of Nusi, 419 shares of ETJ, 110 shares of National Retail, 48 shares of WP Carey, 16 shares of Extra Storage Space, 47 shares of PNW, 26 shares of VNQ, 24 shares of UPS, 58 shares of Main Street Capital, 77 shares of Vici, 50 shares of Walgreens, 81 shares of BUI, 58 shares of UTG, 15 shares of Simon Property Group, and then the rest are relatively smaller positions. So we have a few shares of KMI, of QQQX, we have a few shares of TSLY, we also have a few shares of SVOL, TRO, PBA, SPYI, DLR, APLY, KMB, RQI, HRZN, EMB, CEFD, ABR, ADC, AWP, SPHD, TRP, AMZY, and ARCC. So that's one of my portfolios, and I want you guys to comment down below, if you'd be so kind. What is your favorite position in this entire portfolio, if you of course would only be able to choose one? This right here is a screenshot from one of my other larger portfolios just to share with you guys, just to give you more of an idea of what I'm holding as of right now. I currently have in this portfolio almost 1,100 shares of Realty Income. I have another 141 shares of National Retail. I got some more Altria, quite a bit in this portfolio at 248 shares Altria. Then some more Main Street Capital, 120 shares, some more JEPQ, 126 shares. Then we have some Enterprise Products, some more of that, 245 shares, some Enbridge, 30 shares, more Devo, 215 shares of Devo, then 5 shares of British American Tobacco, and another 100 shares of BlackRock's BDJ. Now also in more efforts to be completely transparent, the first portfolio we went over in this video currently has an estimated annual amount of dividend income of around $26,000, and this is going to be estimated. Keep in mind, some of these numbers are not exactly perfect, but it gives you an idea of what this portfolio is generating in cash flow. And again, throughout all my portfolios, my longer term goal as a 31-year-old dividend growth investor is to get to the point to where I'm able to pay all my bills with all my dividends, which I am at currently, but I want to be able to have a ton of spending money on top of that, which is of course just an icing on the cake. And over the past 7 or so years, the way I've been able to build my portfolio as fast as I've been able to do so is by basically being as frugal as possible in some areas of life, of course, and by investing as aggressively as possible into high quality dividend growth stocks and or ETFs. Now, I've also been pretty vocal that a lot of my portfolios at this point are pretty much where I want them to be, and for that reason I'm buying mostly SCHD or dividend growth ETFs like that from here on out, just out of simplicity and just out of balancing out the portfolio. So that gives you a decent idea of what I hold in some of my larger dividend growth portfolios. And keep in mind, I will be sharing more of my other portfolios as time goes on here on my channel, so make sure to subscribe if you want to see under the hood and in a very transparent manner, show you exactly what I'm buying and selling on a consistent basis. I always found it fun to come on YouTube and see what other dividend growth investors had in their portfolio and how much they were getting paid on dividends on a consistent basis. Now let me be completely clear here. I'm not making this video to brag, of course. I know there's other investors right here on YouTube that would make both the portfolios I just went through look absolutely tiny, and my portfolio, of course, is bigger than some people's portfolio. But like I said, I find it fun to see other people's portfolios in a transparent manner like this on YouTube, and I hope you did as well. Of all these different holdings, you can sort of get an idea of where I'm kind of investing more and less into, and as time goes on and as I get a little bit older, I have been more and more interested in investing into some of the ETFs, like the SCHD ETF, for example, or even things like Devo. But that being said, I'll always have other larger satellite positions like Realty Income, which I own a ton of. And with owning a ton of Realty Income, even though it is a single stock, by selling covered calls on it, I do limit some of the downside, but also have a limited upside potential. But for me being more of a risk-averse, more conservative, sort of scaredy cat investor, it works out pretty good for me. Now, the last thing I'll mention is that I am planning on moving a lot of things around in this portfolio come very soon here. So if you want to stay up to date with all that, make sure to please drop a like down below and subscribe to see my next moves, because I promise you some of these moves might be shocking. All in all, if you had to pick 1 or 2 positions out of my entire portfolio and you could only hold on to those 2 stocks or ETFs forever, which would they be and why? Comment down below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to please drop a like down below and subscribe for more future content like this. Thanks as always for stopping by, and if you are interested in investing, make sure to check out these recent videos I posted right here.